Welcome to Where in Michigan Part 2. Name 15 locations around Michigan from 3 photos by Kyle Shippa. That would be me. And please like and subscribe. Alright, we begin atop Mount Pisgah in Holland, looking down on the most photographed lighthouse in Michigan, sitting across the channel from Holland State Park. Again, I am looking for the nickname of the lighthouse. In 1860, the Dutch settlers of Holland cleared the channel, but it was only deep enough for barges. In 1872, the lighthouse was completed, but the harbor wouldn't be completed for another 20 years. This led to the area initially growing as a resort area rather than as a commercial zone, is how most other Michigan harbors began. The first lighthouse was erected for $4,000 and was a wooden structure. During foggy days and nights, the lighthouse keeper would signal boaters with an 18-inch fish horn. In 1907, a fog signal building was built, and in 1936, the signal building was consolidated with the light tower. Until 1956, the lighthouse was yellow with a deep marine base, but was then painted red to satisfy the aids of navigation. The lighthouse's big red. The first lighthouse keeper was Melgert van Regenmoorder, who was paid a yearly salary of $540. Keepers were no longer needed by 1934 when the light and foghorn were electrified. Alright, from Big Red, we turn 38 miles northeast to Frederick Meyer Gardens and Sculpture Park, and I'm looking for the name of a specific type of garden within the park. This type of garden is named after an Asian country. This specific type of garden focuses on a simple, minimalistic, natural setting designed to inspire reflection and meditation. One of the features of this type of garden is a pond with an islet connected to the shore. Another feature of this type of garden is a Zen garden, also known as a rock garden. Often found in this type of garden are small tea houses. Tea is an important beverage to the nation that the garden is named after. Until the end of the Edo period, from 1603 to 1868, tea was drank among the nation's elite, but then moved to all levels of society. And this is a Japanese garden, specifically at Frederick Meyer Gardens. Some of the more well-known Japanese gardens around the country are in Seattle, Brooklyn, and San Francisco. Alright, 40 miles east of the Japanese gardens, at Frederick Meyer Gardens, we arrive in a small town of about 4,000 on the bank of the Grand River in Ionia County. The town is nicknamed the City of Two Rivers, as it sits at the confluence of the Grand and Looking Glass Rivers. Settlement began in 1833 with the arrival of Elisha Newman. By 1869, the settlement became incorporated and was added as a stop along the Pere Marquette Rail between Grand Ledge and Howard City. The addition of the town along the rail line led to a rapid expansion of the town, with mills, furniture factories, metal foundries, and even a washing machine manufacturer. Following the economic growth was cultural growth. In 1880, an opera house was built, and in 1905, a Carnegie Library was added. Here's the Veterans Memorial Bridge, constructed by the Groton Bridge and Manufacturing Company of New York in 1890. The town, Portland. Portland is a small town between Grand Rapids and Lansing on the Looking Glass and Grand Rivers. Leaving behind Portland, we head 67 miles west towards Lake Michigan. to a small college with an enrollment of just over 3,200. The mascot for the college, located in Holland, is appropriately named the Flying Dutchman. However, the anchor is their emblem, and I'll get to that later on. The school was founded in 1851, just 4 years after the founding of Holland. The college originally shared with Western Theological Seminary, but the two split in 1884. When the college was founded in 1851, it began as a primary level pioneer school, but later expanded to secondary and eventually college level courses. Van Vleck Hall on campus was the first building built on campus and housed the first primary school. It is also the second oldest building in the city. The oldest building in Holland is Pillar Church, having been built in 1856. The first graduating class of the college was in 1866, and they accepted their first female students in 1878. And our fourth location is Hope College. The emblem of Hope College is an anchor, which was inspired by Holland's founder Albertus van Raalte speech at the founding of the college, when he said, "This is my anchor of hope for this people in the future." Now we head 204 miles north of Hope College to a small town on the shore of Lake Michigan. The South Pier Light stands at the mouth of the Pine River that connects Round Lake to Lake Michigan. This town is where one will have to catch a ferry boat to Beaver Island if they wish to go there, which is Lake Michigan's largest island. The northern Michigan town has several unique homes known as the Mushroom Houses. The series of storybook-type homes were the masterpiece of Earl Young, a resident of the town during the first half of the 20th century. The homes have names like the Thatch House, the Chalet, and the Cottage, and are available to rent and are a whimsical feature of the town. Now, kind of a dark story from the town's past comes from 1856, when a man by the name of Jesse Strang led a group of Mormons out on Beaver Island. They were known as the Strangite Mormons, and Jesse Strang was known as the King of Beaver Island. Well, when Jesse Strang came to the town to ask the residents to hand over somebody for jury duty out on Beaver Island, the residents refused, and Jesse Strang was eventually assassinated in 1856. The series of events became known as the Battle of Pine River. And this is Charlevoix. Now, from a dark story to a fun one, you see the world's largest cherry pie. It's actually baked in 1976. The oven that it was baked in was made by the Medusa Concrete Corporation. The pie was 14 feet, 4 inches in diameter, 2 feet deep, and weighed a total of 7 tons. It took 5 hours to bake. It consisted of 850 pounds of flour, 375 pounds of shortening, 55 pounds of baking powder, and 12,750 pounds of filling, nearly 5,000 of which were just Michigan cherries, along with other ingredients such as milk and salt and water and so forth. Now, a larger pie was actually baked in 1987 in Traverse City, and that was a 17.5-foot pie that weighed 28,350 pounds. Just 17 miles north of Charlevoix is another popular tourist town. This one is on the south shore of Little Traverse Bay. In the background, we see the Perry Hotel. Constructed in 1899, the hotel was built for Norman J. Perry and serves city dwellers from around the Midwest looking to take summer vacations in northern Michigan. The hotel featured an orchestra, barbershop, newsstand, and dances known as hops, and in the early 1900s, the hotel boasted as being fireproof. Running along Little Traverse Bay was an old Native American trail stretching from the modern-day Mackinaw City to Grand Rapids. It was used for hundreds of years by the Huron, Ottawa, and Chippewa tribes. The town is Petoskey. Petoskey was founded in 1873 and is named after Ignatius Petoskey. Ignatius Petoskey was the son of French explorer Antoine Carr, who married the daughter of an Odawan chief. Petoskey means where the light shines through the clouds. From the southern shore of Little Traverse Bay, we turn 271 miles south to Michigan's largest city, with a population of about 640,000. The city also was a key stop along the Underground Railroad and was codenamed Midnight. It was an early destination for slaves seeking freedom, but in 1834 Canada abolished slavery, so many slaves and former slaves continued north into Canada. At this point, it's actually east. The successful operation of this city as a stop along the Underground Railroad is largely due to the cooperation of a diverse group of people, including people of African American descent, whites, and Native Americans. The city is bordered to its east by a 24-mile-long river of the same name. On the eastern shore of the river lies the Canadian city of Windsor. During Prohibition, smugglers known as bootleggers, many a part of gangs such as the notorious Purple Gang, would cross the frozen river carrying alcohol into the state. The Purple Gang was comprised of mainly Russian and Polish Jews, but hired other gangsters for muscle. Along with bootlegging, which they had lucrative business dealings with Al Capone in, they also worked in extortion, hijacking, kidnapping, and other nefarious conduct. The FBI believes they played a role in the kidnapping of the Charles Lindbergh's baby. But forget boats and French explorers. This town is known around the world for one thing, that of course is cars. The city's nicknamed Motor City for good reason, as it serves as the home for the headquarters of GM, Ford, and Stellantis, formerly known as Chrysler. In the first half of the 20th century, the U.S. produced 3/4 of all the automobiles in the world. Ford's colossal River Rouge plant alone produced about 4,000 cars per day and employed over 100,000 at its peak. What made the Rouge plant unique was that it was a continuous, non-stop process from raw material to finished product with no pause, even for warehouse or storage. There's so much more to say about this town, but we'll be moving on. And that, of course, is Detroit. Detroit hit its population peak in 1950 with a population of approximately 1.9 million, making it America's fourth largest city. Now it barely cracks the top 30. It's ranked as the 27th largest city in the U.S. GM and Ford both have revenues of around $160 billion and are among the largest automobile manufacturers in the world. From the Motor City, we head back north to the picturesque town on the north shore of Little Traverse Bay. The town has its European origins dating back to 1691, when a mission was set up by French Catholic Jesuits. The area from this town to Good Heart was known as L'Arbre Croche, which translates to Crooked Tree. The Aha boat was designed and built by Ephraim Shea, the same man who made a fortune selling his Shea locomotive in the early 1890s. After its launch, a local magazine writer said, "Nothing like it floats or ever floated on fresh water or salt." The boat is credited with rescuing the Manitou, a steamship that was stranded in 1894. It was nearly lost to the sands of time when it took on water and was beached nearby and was used as an informal shelter for hunters and fishermen, but was reclaimed in 2003 by the town's historical society and in 2019 restored and put into a park. The town was once known as the Naples of the North in the 1920s and boasted 11 hotels. Today it's a fun stop in northern Michigan, just north of Charlevoix and Petoskey. It also has a great place to connect with M119, better known as the Tunnel of Trees. And the town is Harbor Springs. 195 miles south of Harbor Springs, straddling the Grand River, lies Michigan's second largest city. On the east bank of the Grand River stands the Amway Grand Plaza and the J.W. Marriott. The J.W. Marriott, the oval-shaped building, was constructed in 2007, and at 256 feet is the city's sixth tallest building. The hotel pays tribute to the sister cities with photographs of Zapopan, Mexico, Perugia, Italy, Basco-Biala, Poland, and the Ga District in Ghana. The JW series of Marriott hotels is their more luxurious brand and aims to be more luxurious than their traditional brand. Next to the JW Marriott is the Amway Grand Plaza Tower. When it opened in 1983, the 318-foot tower became the city's tallest building, surpassing the McKay Tower, which held the title from 1927 to 1983. Shortly after its opening in 1985, Jack Schnedler of the Chicago Sun-Times wrote this about his stay at the hotel. Quote, "Here's a world-class hotel plunked in the middle of Michigan, occupying the opulently restored shell of the old Pantaleon Hotel and a sleek 29-story wing. Service during my April stay was small-town cheerful. The room was richly furnished, and dinner in the top-of-the-line Cygnus restaurant stood up to New York or San Francisco standards." The tallest building in the town, at 406 feet, is the River House Condo Building, completed in 2008. It is also the tallest residential building in Michigan. To the building south lies the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Museum. The Ford Museum and Presidential Library is the only presidential museum and library to be located in separate cities. The Presidential Library is located in Ann Arbor, where Ford had attended college at the University of Michigan. And the city's Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids is Michigan's second largest city after Detroit, with a population of just under 200,000 for the city proper. The city was founded in 1826 and incorporated in 1850. First census held in Grand Rapids was in 1845. They found that 1,510 residents were living in the city. 242 miles north spans Michigan's most iconic structure. The mastermind behind the design of the beautiful bridge was Dr. David Steinman. Originally, Michigan was going to hire L.S. Moisseiff, the consulting designer of the Golden Gate Bridge and engineer of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, but slow recovery from the Great Depression and World War II put the construction of the bridge on hold. During that time, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge collapsed due to high wind, and Michigan dropped Moisseiff in favor of Steinman, who wanted the bridge to be visually appealing as well as safe and functional. The bridge is the longest suspension bridge in the Western Hemisphere, with a total length of 26,372 feet, 3,800 feet between the towers. The design of the bridge was done in such a way to accommodate for high winds. The openings on the road deck, trusses, towers were designed to handle winds over 600 miles per hour, but after further stabilization efforts, engineers claim the bridge can withstand winds up to 1,000 miles per hour, well above what the current record wind speed is of 121 miles per hour. Not only can the bridge withstand strong winds, it is also incredibly strong. It is designed to support 1 ton per lineal foot, 1 ton in each direction, that is. So, which means the bridge can support a total of 38,486 tons, or about 962 loaded semi-trucks, average loaded semi-trucks, that is. That, of course, is the Mackinac Bridge. Mackinac Bridge was completed November 1st, 1957. From the mighty Mac, we continue another 79 miles north to a somber museum at Whitefish Point, which has been given the grievous nickname of the graveyard of Lake Superior, as more vessels have been lost in this area than any other point in Lake Superior. 3 reasons contribute to making this so dangerous. It is at this point where Lake Superior narrows, causing a congestion of boat traffic, especially in the 1880s when over 3,100 ships sailed the Great Lakes. This area is also prone to fog and poor visibility. And lastly, strong storms known as northwestern storms or nor'westers can lead to treacherous lake conditions. This light, the oldest active on Lake Superior, began operating in 1849, though the present tower was constructed later, early a stopping place for Native Americans, voyagers, and Jesuit missionaries. The point marks a course change for ore boats and other ships navigating this treacherous coastline to and from the St. Mary's Canal. Since 1971, the light, fog signal, and radio beacon have been automated and controlled from Sault Ste. Marie. Massive till and rudder came from the 201-foot M.M. Drake, which wrecked on October 2, 1901. The M.M. Drake was towing the 212-foot Michigan, but collided with the Michigan during a nor'wester storm. Two nearby steamers saw the ship's distress flares and came to the rescue. The only missing person was the cook from the Michigan. And this is the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum. The most famous wreck of the Great Lakes was, of course, the Edmund Fitzgerald, which wrecked on November 10, 1975. The wreck resulted in the loss of all 29 crew and is immortalized in the Gordon Lightfoot song, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. When it was launched in 1958, it was the largest ship on the Great Lakes at 729 feet and remains the largest ship to have sunk across the Great Lakes. Over 6,000 ships have been estimated to have been wrecked in the Great Lakes, resulting in the loss of over 30,000 lives dating back to the 17th century. From the somber but terrifically interesting Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum, we turn 104 miles south to a whimsical Michigan landmark and eatery, Legs Inn. But what village is it in? Looking for the name of the village. Why is it called Legs Inn? The restaurant is lined with cast iron stove legs. The inn is the brainchild of Polish immigrant Stanley Smolak and the creative help of local Odawa natives. He was able to make the furniture inside, tables and chairs, all uniquely carved out of driftwood and trees and rocks. Smolak came to America in 1912 but settled in the village in 1921. The stones, driftwood, and tree roots that Smolak used to create creatures he called fantastical creatures, or actually he called them nature's oddities, were gathered from the woods nearby. Smolak passed away at the age of 81 in 1968. And this is Cross Village, about 16 miles north of Harbor Springs, along the Tunnel of Trees. Heading back north 104 miles, we arrive at Michigan's most well-known waterfall during peak fall colors. The falls consist of an upper and lower falls. Here we see part of the lower falls, which consist of a series of cascades, as compared to the upper falls, which is a single 48-foot drop. The falls are the third largest waterfall east of the Mississippi by volume after Cohoes Falls and the largest, Niagara Falls. Approximately 50,000 gallons of water flow over the falls per second, compared to Niagara Falls that has over 700,000 gallons of water flowing over it every second. While the falls may be nicknamed root beer falls due to their brownish coloration caused by tannins released from hemlock and tamarack trees, this photo you'll see that it's more of a normal whitish color. But at its peak coloration, it is actually the darkest colored river in North America. This is, of course, Tequamanon Falls, located along the 89-mile Tequamanon River. Tequamanon Falls State Park is the second largest state park in Michigan at around 50,000 acres. The largest state park is Porcupine Mountains Wilderness State Park, around 60,000 acres. 82 miles south of the thundering Tahquamenon Falls, just south of the bridge, stands a lighthouse near the tip of the Mitt. Lighthouse was built in 1869 for $20,000. That includes land, labor, material. The design of the lighthouse is a mirror of the Chambers Island and Eagle Bluff lights, which were under construction at the same time in Wisconsin's Door County. There's also 2 other lighthouses in Michigan with the exact same design, and that is the White River Light Station and the Eagle Harbor Light Station. Style lighthouse known as Norman Gothic, as I mentioned, was also used at the Eagle Harbor Lighthouse in the Keweenaw, built in 1871, and the White River Light Station, built in 1875. The longest serving lighthouse keeper was James Davenport, who served from 1879 to 1906. Davenport previously served at the Little Point Sable Lighthouse near Silver Lake. During his time at the lighthouse, Davenport and his wife Madeline raised a family on a salary of $540. This is McGulpin Lighthouse. James Davenport, also a carpenter, built many of the older homes in Mackinaw City, and his wife bought a lot of land in Mackinaw City for just $100. Built their own home out of wood taken from nearby shipwrecks. And our last stop, we head 33 miles north of McGulpin Point to a bridge that stretches 641 feet across a river that it's actually named after. The river flows 147 feet below the bridge. The bridge is also named the Heath Robinson Memorial Bridge, honoring Heath Robinson, who had attended Petoskey High School. Robinson was a Navy SEAL who passed away in a Chinook helicopter crash on August 6, 2011 in Afghanistan when it was shot down by the Taliban. This actually resulted in the largest single-day loss of special forces at 31 in American history. Of those 31 special forces members, 22 of which were Navy SEALs. Construction of the bridge began in 1941, but due to the demand of steel for World War II, construction was halted and the bridge was eventually completed in 1947. The bridge is unique as it is the only one of 2 cantilever deck truss bridges in Michigan. The other is the Mortimer E. Cooley Bridge that spans the Pine River along M55. 888 tons of steel were used in the construction. This is called the Cut River Bridge, also known as the Heath Robinson Memorial Bridge, located about 30 miles west of St. Ignace. All right, well, thanks for watching, and come back next time for Where in Michigan Part 3.